Kerry and Armagh met in the first of this year's All-Ireland minor football semi-finals. Highlights coming up later. We have action too from both of yesterday's under-21 hurling semi-finals, including an absolute thriller in Thurles between old rivals Galway and Clare. And we'll be looking ahead to next week's second football semi-final between Kerry and Meath. And we also have another fantastic competition for you with a great prize. More about that later in the programme. Well, with us in studio to discuss a dramatic day in Croke Park are Anthony Tohill, Colin O'Rourke and Tony Davis. And as you'll see, we'll have lots to talk about, but let's begin with the action. It's Munster champions Cork against the All-Ireland champions Tyrone, and commentary comes from Ger Canning and Martin Carney.
Munster champions Cork are pleased to have former All-Star Anthony Lynch back in their ranks this afternoon. His injury has cleared up sufficiently and he returns at left corner back to the exclusion of Kieran O'Connor. Elsewhere, under-21 captain Colm O'Neill remains at full forward after his late call-up against Donegal on a day when Graham Canty plays his 40th championship match. Well, Tyrone are forced into making one late change, and it's of huge significance. Sean Kavanagh has been feeling unwell and won't start the match, so Tommy McGuigan comes in on the 40. The other change made during the week was the recall of fit again Enda McGinley. He plays in midfield as partner for Kevin Hughes. So the scene is set. It's a match which has certainly grabbed the attention of many people all around the country, indeed watching all around the world. Let's hope it provides the entertainment. John Bannon from Longford is in charge. His linesmen, Derek Fahy from Longford and Sil Doyle from Wexford. And interesting that Graham Canty has gone on to McMahon straight away. As the ball is thrown in, match underway, and straight away it's Cork who get it there with Nicholas Murphy. Handled there on the ground by Conor Gormley, and it's got to be a free in, a technical error by the Tyrone full back, and it gives Cork an opportunity to get the first point of the match. Well, the breeze here, Martin, is swirling around quite a lot.
Yeah, and I think that was a bad call, actually. I think he got his foot under the ball quite clearly.
Donnacha O'Connor. Straightforward opportunity for him to put it over the bar, and he's missed it.
Well, I think there's a certain justice in that, because
a degree of justice.
Yeah, there shouldn't have been a free in that time.
Mickey Hart there with Tony Donnelly alongside him. And in space here is Ryan McMenamin, the left corner back who loves to attack. Point already in this year's championship, and he's got the opening point of the day here. Cork were ball watching, not concentrating. McMenamin nipped in and put it over. Tyrone lead.
It's an indication of how adaptable they are. Again, he manoeuvred his way forward that time. His corner forward never tracked him. That's a very good score for Tyrone.
That little bit of experience which Tyrone have got. Here's Alan O'Connor. 65 metres out from his own goal. Again, an opportunity to set up an attack here with Donnacha O'Connor. Trying to break the challenge there of Conor Gormley. Comes to Paul Kerrigan. Coming in on the wing where he scored that goal against Donegal in the quarter-final. Fisting this one and putting it over the bar. They're level. Good work by Paul Kerrigan, the Nemo Rangers player. Showing his pace. He really is a very fast raider here. Getting away from Davy Hart. There was no catching him. Joe McMahon feeding it forward here towards Owen Mulligan. Ever dangerous. Back once again towards the point scorer, Ryan McMenamin. This time trying to be provider. That's a poor kick. Straight to Miskala. Back it comes towards Michael Shields. Anthony Lynch. Shrugging off the injury that has certainly hampered him, a groin injury. Shields once again. Miskala. Challenge coming in from Penrose. Back towards Nicholas Murphy. Partly blocked by Hughes. Penrose in again. Well, Penrose certainly puts in an enormous amount of work over 70 minutes in any match he plays in the Tyrone colours.
Yeah, that's wonderful defensive play by both Penrose and Dooher that time. Great tackling and great, just trying to dispossess and get in the face of the Cork players.
Davy Hart hitting it long in towards Stephen O'Neill, trying to get away from his man. Lynch is his marker. O'Neill with an almost impossible angle manages to crack it over the bar. It's a wonderful score. Stephen O'Neill, man who scored in the quarter-final for Tyrone against Kildare some 3 weeks ago, gets his first point of the match here from a reverse angle inside the right-hand post. 2 points to 1. Short kick out this time. Graham Canty hoping to exert a big influence on this semi-final. Paul Kerrigan, who got Cork's opening point. Down as far as Donegal O'Connor. His marker is Conor Gormley, back in towards Canty. My goodness, he's made up some ground. Great ball inside here towards O'Neill, and O'Neill blocked and put in the back of the net by Daniel Goulding. 7 minutes are gone. Cork fans can celebrate. A lot of hard work done before it was eventually put in the net by Goulding. Watches was fisted in. Picked up here from Graham Canty by Colm O'Neill. The initial attempt was blocked down there by PJ Quinn, but it's stuck in the net by Goulding, and he really is in great goal form. That's his 6th ever championship goal, and it's his 2nd of the season. Cork come again here. Paddy Kelly now onto the right, and he's put it over the bar. Well, this is a very good young player, Paddy Kelly.
Yeah, again, there's a little bit of panic actually with that kick again. Pierce O'Neill made the most of it again. Kelly just calmed himself down neatly and shot a lovely point. The clear thinking, though, in the previous case from Canty, not to panic, give the ball to Colm O'Neill, who provided the assist for Goulding, was really commendable.
Well, it's the Cork fans now who are cheering the loudest, as you could imagine. But the ball is turned over by Alan O'Connor there towards Kevin Hughes. Won back by Cork again. John Miskela out here to the other wing back. That's Noel O'Leary, the man from Kilnamartyra. Nicholas Murphy held on to well here by O'Connor. Up against PJ Quinn, the least experienced member of the Tyrone defence. Beautifully played into Pierce O'Neill. He's got another chance here of another score, and he fisted over the bar. Almost a trademark Pierce O'Neill score, coming through and resourcefully opting to punch it over the bar, and it's 1-3 to 2 points. Cork leading.
Yeah, but all the individual battles at the moment up front are being won by Cork again. Goulding is winning his battle. Kelly is doing well. Paul Kerrigan. But just watch again this goal coming back again. Good save in the first case. Good opportunism, though, it must be said, by Goulding. Picks a spot, finds, shoots a fine goal.
That's 3 scores in 3 minutes for Cork. Now, what is the Tyrone response? Broken in the middle of the field again by the tall Nicholas Murphy. Out as far as Paddy Kelly, young man from Ballincollig. Daniel Goulding, the goal scorer, laying it off here as far as Miskela. Scored 4 in the quarter-final, 4 points that is. Alan O'Connor. Cork all over Tyrone at this stage. Joe McMahon, ball handled on the ground. The referee John Bannon has decided, and that's the 2nd time that a Tyrone player has been penalised. Let's look at this again here. I think the boot was coming in under it, wasn't it?
I thought the boot was under it. That's the 2nd time again. You know, I think there's been a bad call anyway. I know it's difficult for the referee in actual time to call those accurately, but I figured that should have been the play should have been let go.
Once again, it's a Cork free kick, and once again it's going to be Donegal O'Connor who will take it. This one he catches, this one he directs and puts over the bar. Going very nicely for Cork. Getting the decision there from John Bannon to take that free, and Mickey Hart and Tony Donnelly with a few headaches early on. Well, this particular kick out didn't reach a Tyrone player, and it's going to be a line ball once again. Paddy Kelly's going to take it. I notice that when Tyrone have their own kick out, they bring Dooher and they bring Penrose, the 2 wingmen essentially, into a very deep position. Hasn't really worked out for them so far, however. Colm O'Neill feeding it, holding, cracking a good one this time. It's a lovely score. Young man who starred in the under-21 championship where Cork won this year against Down in the final. That's where I thought he was trying to play the pass in. Got it himself and hit a beauty over the bar, and it's 1-5 to 2 points.
Yeah, but if you notice in that move also, Alan O'Connor and Nicholas Murphy were getting into great attacking positions, and neither Enda McGinley nor Kevin Hughes are doing their defensive duties at all for Tyrone at the moment.
Well, it's some 8 minutes now since Tyrone has managed to get a score. 6 or is it 5 scores in a row for Cork. Paul Kerrigan, huge one in. Nicely in as far as Canty. Laid off as far as Pierce O'Neill. Cork are destroying Tyrone in these early stages. That's Daniel Goulding, and it's just outside the large square. It's got to be a free in, and there's not much doubt about this one, but you just wonder about the movement, the marvellous movement of Cork in this attack, which involved O'Neill and Canty earlier on. And here's Daniel Goulding causing problems there for Justin McMahon.
Yeah, but Cork are playing a very clever game at the moment. They're moving the ball wide, they're making use of their big men driving forward at speed. And to be quite honest with you, Tyrone aren't mobile enough, nor aren't physical enough actually with Cork up to now.
You come to the conclusion that where Graham Canty, the captain, is concerned, Martin, every chance he gets, he is going forward, joining the attack.
Yeah, but I think again Tyrone had hoped that Joe McMahon would actually trail him, but Joe McMahon has lost him far too often.
And Donnacha O'Connor makes absolutely sure. So 2 out of 3 for him from his frees. And another one for Cork, and so far it's going very nicely for the Munster champions, but only a quarter of an hour gone. McGinley, that's Penrose. This is a movement here and a chance for Tyrone to get a score, and it's Kevin Hughes. They're chasing after him. Nicholas Murphy's after him. Hughes is there, and Hughes puts it over the bar. That's exactly what Tyrone has needed. So the margin is eaten into 6 between them. Well, there were alarming gaps here.
Very much so, but again, he took the responsibility. Again, Canty's having a free roll. Nobody's picking up Canty whatsoever now. He was too far up the field that time to put in a defensive tackle. Hughes exploited that, but a good score for Tyrone that they badly needed.
Joe McMahon essentially is trying to keep tabs on Graham Canty. This time it's Tommy McGuigan. Playing deep. Trying to pull strings, but not with that particular pass. It's a very poor one. Well, he won't panic. They certainly don't do any kind of panic in Tyrone. That time it's Conor Gormley getting out to the ball. He's one of the leaders of this team, and having given Cork a head start, you would expect Tyrone now to roll up the sleeves, but they are missing the great leadership that Sean Kavanagh normally is able to give them.
Yeah, and they're untypically disjointed again, something I haven't seen from a Tyrone team in a while. Again, they're looking around and the confidence isn't there.
There's a steal from Gormley by O'Neill, and he's put it over the bar. Let's just look at this again here. It was in fact Goulding who got it. Daniel Goulding onto the left, and he's now got a goal and a point, but it should have been cleared by Conor Gormley. That time Nicholas Murphy was fouled. It's certainly going very much against the reigning All-Ireland champions at this stage of the match, and we're a quarter of the way in. That's across towards Goulding's corner again, battling there with Justin McMahon, supported here by Paddy Kelly. Son making a welcome appearance at Croke Park. O'Leary. Back once again it comes towards Graham Canty, now picked up by Ray Carey. Again Goulding's involved. Comes across once more to Colm O'Neill, trying a very ambitious shot from 45 metres out, and it's worthwhile because he's got his second point of the match. Terrific football, very patient, very deliberate, and the execution at the finish was done by one of the youngest players on the park, young Colm O'Neill, the captain of the under-21 team this year.
Well, that's a very precocious young lad. That's a wonderful goal from Colm O'Neill. Again, from a long distance out after a patient build-up, had the confidence to fire at a wonderful point, but it typifies the Cork swagger at the moment.
Penrose to collect this one and to take it forward here now. The defender committed himself. Here comes McGinley, and that's a rather crude challenge. And the referee will go across and have words there with Alan O'Connor. Could be a card for that.
Oh, definitely a card for that. That's clumsy, it's crude, and it's again unnecessary. But again, the physical element of it is there in abundance with Cork today. That showed it. And again, at this stage of the game, Tyrone need a score badly.
1-8 to 3 points. Owen Mulligan to kick. And Owen Mulligan has put it over the bar. Suited a player kicking with the right boot from that particular side of the field. And it's a score that Tyrone has badly needed. Only their 4th of the first half. 4 points in 22 minutes. Not good. And Tyrone come forward here with Joe McMahon, who's having his problems with Graham Canty. Nicely in as far as Tommy McGuigan, who moved into the inside forward line for a moment or two. That time Owen Mulligan has fouled. The referee decides, and it's going to be a free into Tyrone, and they'll take whatever is going.
Yeah, again, that's a very soft free. Again, just watch here, again, a careless enough use of the hands that time by Donnacha O'Connor. No need to give that away. There was plenty of Cork defenders around them.
As Mulligan kicks, and Mulligan puts it over the bar. 2 points for Owen Mulligan now, both of them coming from frees. So the margin once again is 6 points. One player the target down there, that's Daniel Goulding. Beating Justin McMahon, laying it off beautifully towards Alan O'Connor, who's never scored in the championship. Oh, he's just put that right. First point for Alan O'Connor, and everything is going very, very sweet indeed from a Cork point of view. Even the goalpost here coming to his help, and 1-9 to 5 points.
Yeah, but up the centre of the Tyrone backline in the moment, both Conor Gormley and Justin McMahon are really struggling with the pace of the game. They're under pressure with little knocks they have got, and again, I think Mickey Harte needs to do some remedial action, or take remedial action in those areas very quickly.
Well, certainly Conor Gormley looks to be in difficulty. Dooher now, he's inspired Tyrone so often in the past. Didn't get an advantage that time. Kicks it forward as far as Stephen O'Neill. Trying to steal a march there on Anthony Lynch. Cracking it with the left, hitting it well and hitting it over the bar. Stephen O'Neill second. And Tyrone begin to turn it on. That's 2 shots for Stephen O'Neill. 2 points for the great man himself from Clonmacnoise. Alan Quirk to kick this one. Well, now Cork with all the aerial advantage win this one through Pierce O'Neill. He's fouled. Tyrone looks strangely flat. Muskela inside towards Donnacha O'Connor. Cork much more energised. Tyrone now trying to work harder. O'Connor hit into space. Davy Harte cutting out the supply line. Nicely done here. McMahon taking it out here as far as his captain, Brian Dooher. Inside to the unmarked Kevin Hughes. The running here of Owen Mulligan. Transferred beautifully back towards Dooher. Dooher in a tight position here, trying to get it back. Again trying to make his way through past John Muskela. This time Muskela says, "What are you talking about, ref?" But the referee gave Tyrone the free, and you can be sure that Brian Dooher drew that one. Made his way in, trying to burrow his way forward, and the referee decided it was a foul by the Cork man. And something said by Alan O'Connor. He's already got a yellow, he's now got another one, and he's been sent off. And Cork are down to 14 players with only 29 minutes gone.
That's amazing. I don't know what that's about at all. He
must have said something.
Yeah, had to say something to the referee, but that's very, very harsh as far as I can see. Extremely harsh.
Stephen O'Neill puts it over the bar from the free. So it's now 15 against 14, and that's going to be one of the talking points. Alan O'Connor, was it a free in the first place?
Well, I didn't see it. Maybe he's booking him for that there, but again, I didn't think.
Could that be the challenge?
It could have been the challenge, but he didn't even really make much contact with him there.
Let's just see it again here.
Oh, I think that's very harsh.
As the game heads towards injury time at the end of the first half of this first All-Ireland football semi-final. It's Paul Kerrigan breaking the challenges. Got a point earlier on. This time it's held on to somehow. A great block down. Back once again, however, towards Colm O'Neill, who had the initial attempt. And look at the number of Tyrone players who are now swarming around Cork. Canty trying to get in there. Laying it back here towards Kelly. Lobbing it forward towards Daniel Goulding, looking for another goal chance into the side netting, but off one of the defenders. It's gone for a 45. Oof.
Well, certainly that was the pass of the championship as far as I'm concerned, from Kelly to Goulding. That time the angle was very difficult. In fairness, McConnell got his hands on the ball, but the pass was sublime. Wonderful vision, beautiful precision in the way it was drilled forward, and again the effort was brilliantly saved by McConnell.
Donegal O'Connor hitting this one again. It drops in there, it's fumbled. Kevin Hughes back to help out. About another 25 seconds of the stoppage time to be played. It works its way out towards Ryan McMenamin. McMenamin back towards a colleague who's Justin McMahon. Held on to here somehow by Philip Jordan. They work it away out of a tight situation. 5 points between the teams heading towards the half-time break as Joe McMahon carries it forward. Is there another score for Tyrone before the break? No, there isn't, because the referee's whistle goes for half-time here in front of a crowd of over 52,000 people at Croke Park. It's mighty close because you expect a big fight from Tyrone in the second half. At the break, Cork 1-9, Tyrone 7 points. He's composing himself. Back in as far as Justin McMahon, younger brother. So how will Tyrone now use the extra player? Will it work to their advantage? Brian McGuigan, such an intelligent, crafty player to play usually around the middle of the park onto the 40. He's playing a very deep role for starters. Here's Philip Jordan. Kevin Hughes still wearing that number 35. Pushed around the place, free kick awarded. He's down. There's another player down as well, I can tell you. Ryan McMenamin getting treatment. Philip Jordan carrying the ball forward, looking for Tyrone's first score of the second half. Davy Hart usually gets a point or two, not with this particular effort. Into the crowd at Hill 16, Dineen End as it is nowadays, and that is 4 wides so far for Tyrone. McMenamin's okay.
Yeah, but there's something about Tyrone today. They're indecisive. Like, where normally they're so decisive in everything that they do. It's the opposite today. Again, they're lacking inspiration, and maybe the effect of losing Sean Kavanagh so close to the throw-in has had an adverse effect on them. But they're not the team playing with the same assurance that we have seen in the past.
Indeed, in the last 15 minutes of the first half, Cork managed to get just 2 points. Tyrone getting 4 points in that same spell, and now Graham Canty going across to the referee, and his name goes into the book as well, and a yellow card for that.
Well, again, he brings his knees into the back of, I think it's McGinley in that case, and that's deserving of a yellow card.
Well, it was the follow-up action, as you said, Martin, there that resulted in that card for the Cork captain. Davy Hart to hit this free kick. Very, very long one towards Stephen O'Neill. Haven't seen a great deal of him for a while. Now we have. Cracks a good one and puts it over the bar. Great point by Stephen O'Neill. That's 4 for the day so far. 1 of them from a free, 3 from play, and it's 1-9 to 8 points. First score of the second half comes after 5 minutes. Nicholas Murphy from that kick out, ready to try and break through the challenge of Kevin Hughes. Penrose came across as well, caught him. Free kick to Cork. It's too much start football. Well, he'll be one calm man anyway. Conor Coonahan, you can be certain. There with Ger O'Sullivan, one of his selectors. Nicholas Murphy from Carrigaline kicking it. It's a huge one. Way down in there towards the full forward, Colm O'Neill. He's done well, trying to get away from Quinn, who was fouling him, and it's going to be a free in, and it's a chance for Cork's first score of the second half. 7 minutes in.
That's a wonderful bit of leadership from the youngest lad, I think, on the team. Again, wonderful take under a lot of pressure, and again, you know, draws the foul from PJ Quinn, but that gives a great opportunity for Cork to get back on the scoreboard.
Well, he's been fired in at the deep end, Colm O'Neill, in the hope that he can fast-track his progress, certainly from the under-21 team. Very talented player. Donegal O'Connor to take this. Well, he's now pointed his third from 5 frees taken so far. First of the second half for Donegal O'Connor, and it's 110 to 8 points. The All-Ireland champions behind by 5 points. It reaches Davy Hart, 3 Cork men near him. Out as far as the spare man, who is Ryan McMenamin. Fisted forward once again for Enda McGinley to get onto. Selfless running as usual by the midfielder. Trying to make an angle, trying to get away from Pearse O'Neill. Runs into Noel O'Leary, and Noel O'Leary gets it out there. Huge cheers from the Cork fans. Out to Paddy Kelly, well away as far as Paul Kerrigan. Kerrigan soloing here. Challenge coming in from Jordan, it's ineffective. Penrose there as well, trying to force him out over the line. Back towards Paddy Kelly. Played inside here cleverly, but lost by Ray Carey. One back by Tyrone, one back by Brian McGuigan. Can he provide the leadership on the drive? Joe McMahon, bad pass intended for Kevin Hughes. Cleared out, however, eventually by Graham Canty. Out here as far as John Miskela. Miskela loves to swarm forward. Out to Kerrigan. Again, trying to go by Philip Jordan. Beat Davy Hart in the first half. That's a great ball over, just in over the head of Colm O'Neill. Back once again towards the corner forward, and it's put over the bar. Again, Cork in full flow, and Donegal O'Connor hitting his 4th point of this match. A lovely flowing move, touched on by Colm O'Neill. Out to the corner forward from Ballydesmond, straight over. It's 111 to 8 points.
Yeah, but let's salute the contribution that time of Paul Kerrigan. A wonderful piece of foraging, a delightful pass.
Hughes felt the effect of that challenge by Graham Canty, but got the ball forward to Justin McMahon. As far as Kavanagh once again. Played it full forward in last year's championship. Tight angle. Getting it back once again towards Justin McMahon. Out eventually to Brian Dooher. Blocked down. Comes back out towards Martin Penrose. He's 45 metres and counting out from the Cork goal. And he wins a free in. And it's taken very quickly to Philip Jordan. Jordan trying to belt this one over the bar. First point of the day for Philip Jordan, his 2nd in this year's championship, and it's now 111 to 9 points.
Yeah, good, lovely piece of quick thinking by Tyrone that time. Jordan, the free man over the left-hand side, took the confidence to once again shoot a point. Again, how often has he done that in championship football?
Mind you, the free that led up to it was highly questionable, I think.
Very much so.
Kick out here towards Paddy Kelly. Forward here as far as Paul Kerrigan. Hit into the corner. Oh, it catches pace, and there was nothing Daniel Goulding could do about it. Goulding, the Éire Óg man. Well, they can afford to take short kick-outs now, Tyrone, because they have the numerical advantage, but they make a total hash of it and present it to Cork and to Colm O'Neill, who has a chance to put it over the bar. Beautifully done. That's another for the Ballyclaw player. 3 points in this match, now down injured.
Yeah, that's a bad mistake that time by PJ Quinn. Again, he tries to rectify it, you know, gets back quickly, but again, Colm O'Neill's poise has been wonderful today. Great score.
They need an end product and they need scores. Brian Dooher, he's lifted them so often in so many matches in the past. That time Nicholas Murphy challenged, the referee says play on. Tyrone fans felt there was a push, the referee saw it, saw none. This time there is a free, however, for a foul on John Miskela. Well, I'm not sure is he going to go WWW wrestling, but Stephen O'Neill needs another shirt. Hulk Hogan, isn't it?
I don't watch that.
Well, there's a Tyrone player down on the ground right now who's happened just behind John Bannon. Not sure if one of his referees saw what happened. I didn't, but there is a player certainly down requiring attention. And the referee now blowing his whistle. Stephen, that's Pierce O'Neill there, very, very annoyed with whatever happened. Oh, John Miskela.
Yeah, John Miskela definitely threw a thump that time. I think it was on
Brian McGuigan.
Yeah. And if the referee or linesman saw that, definitely is a sending off.
Could be in real trouble.
Yeah, it could be down to 13 men because the umpire is looking to make communication with John Bannon.
Brian Dooher has been replaced by Aidan Cassidy, but let's just see what happens when the referee, that's Aidan Cassidy, number 18, coming in. John Bannon into the middle of the field, and he's going to call across John Miskela. Now, what did the umpire tell referee John Bannon? What did he see? It's a yellow card.
Well, he's looking to get away with that, actually. That was a sending off offence.
Still arguing the point there with Brian McGuigan. Again, it is Philip Jordan. You hear the Cork mentors saying, start pressurising. Joe McMahon kicking and Joe McMahon putting it wide.
Just they cannot get the ball through to their inside forwards with any regularity today. You know, Stephen O'Neill and Owen Mulligan haven't been given the service that they need, but because primarily around the middle of the field, Kevin Hughes and Andy McGinley early on have been outplayed by Nicholas Murphy, Alan O'Connor when he was on, and Pierce O'Neill in particular.
This time the kick out goes straight to Martin Penrose, and you'd expect Sean Cavanagh and the rest now to apply the pressure for the remaining minutes. Here's Penrose from the pass from Kevin Hughes, and he belts it over the bar. Point for Martin Penrose. They probably need a goal. That was their first score in some 14 minutes now. Beautifully struck by Penrose. One back by Ryan McMenamin once again. Onto it straight away comes the substitute, Fintan Gould. And that's beautifully dispatched between the posts and over the bar. Great point by Fintan Gould. Well, this is a really talented player. He seized on that opportunity, got it onto the right, and cracked a beauty.
Yeah, again, an untypical error from Ryan McMenamin that time, but again, wonderfully latched onto by Fintan Gould. Again, from a difficult angle, screwed it across his body. That's a great score.
Here's Brian McGuigan. Chased there by Kieran O'Connor, who's just come in. Everybody claiming it. 3 minutes of added time to be played. So we're into injury time now as Sean Cavanagh tries to drive through. Tyrone looking for a goal just to give themselves some little bit of hope. Yeah, that time it's going to be Davy Hart who fouled it. It's going to be...
I think he took this free.
Well, he put it over the bar, did he?
Yeah, it's Davy Hart point.
Well, he's got his point, but it's too little at this stage anyway. 1-13 to 11 points, 16 points to 11. Well, the cheering now is by the Cork fans all around Croke Park in a crowd of just over 53,000. And another change is being made, as you can see, and Owen Cadigan, who played in this year's hurling championship, comes on in place of John Miskela, and that's Cork's fifth sub. It's a luxury they can now afford because they realise they have 1 foot already very definitely in the All-Ireland final. Sean Cavanagh now. Cavanagh still trying to cut through. Still Cavanagh! Oh, not sure if he hit the post when that one went out. I think he did.
Did you? Fabulous run by Cavanagh that time. I expected him to cut inside, but he just kept going straight. Again, just let fly from here and just hit the outside of the post. But again, in fairness, Alan Quirk, I thought, had the angle fairly well covered.
Let's just look at it again here. Some shot. Yes, you're right. I think Quirk had it. Each team with just 4 points scored in the second half, so they've cancelled one another out. Is it prayers for a victory or prayers for the final whistle if you're a Cork fan? Alan Quirk kicking it into the middle of the park. Again rising up for it was Aidan Cassidy here. Hauled back there by Pearse O'Neill. Free kick to be taken by Brian McGuigan. Canty was under it. It was Kavanagh who got a fist to it. Alan Quirk. We're in the last 40 seconds. Cork by 5 points. Hefty challenge there on Cadigan. So in spite of losing a man after 29 minutes of this match in controversial circumstances because of 2 yellow cards, it's Cork, the Munster champions, who are ready to take their place in this year's All-Ireland. Surely there isn't enough time for Tyrone. That Cork have the ball. The referee says play away. It reaches Paddy Kelly. Huge one into space. They wait for the whistle of John Bannon, the referee. There it is. Conor Counihan's team, Cork, knock out the All-Ireland champions from 2008 Tyrone. And Cork are in the Munster final, are in the All-Ireland final. The Munster champions have done it. Well, they weren't the favourites, that's for sure. But Conor Counihan goes to his backroom team. The fans salute what was a wonderful effort by Graham Canty and his men. And the reigning champions from last year are out of the hunt for the Sam Maguire Cup. Beaten 2 years ago by Kerry in the final. Who will it be in this year's final against Cork? That's something that the Rebels won't worry about at this stage. Well, Mickey Harte will be bitterly disappointed. His plan was to win 2 in a row. That's been blown out of the water. Full-time score, it's Cork 113, Tyrone 11 points.
Congratulations, Conor, you're in the All-Ireland final, but what a battle, considering you had 14 men after 29 minutes of the first half.
Yeah, it made it a bit difficult, all right, but, you know, in fairness, the lads, they showed great heart and determination there and ground out a result in the finish, and, you know, we were thankful to get it. I suppose, you know, on days like this semi-final, it's all about trying to get your performance, and, you know, fortunately enough, we managed a level performance that got us over the line today.
Not a good day in the office for Tyrone. Nothing went right, really, did it?
No, definitely not. Lots of things went wrong, but we can't fault their effort. We have to take our hats off to Cork. I'd congratulate them. It was a terrific performance by them right across the field. They coped admirably with losing their man, and they had that gap at half time. We felt we could claw it back a bit, but it proved beyond us, and they were able to just keep picking off their scores as well. So it was Cork's day, and they deserve it, and they're a quality side, and I wish them well.
Well, we're deeply disappointed, and probably, but on the day Cork were the better team, and you take your hats off them, and they played and they got the breaks in the second half, and we gave away a few mistakes, 3 or 4 scores, but on the day I think they deserved it, like, so you can't complain.
We knew we were, I suppose, we were performing. It was a matter of go out in the second half, you know, and maybe try and up it that bit more, and thankfully we did, you know.
Do you mind if it's Kerry or Meath, or do you have a preference?
No, I mean, look, we've no preference. We're in All-Ireland final. It doesn't matter to us who's going to be there, you know. As I say, it was a goal at the start of the year. Whoever's going to come through, we'll focus in on them over the next few weeks. But, you know, we're just glad to be there now.
They say that a team reflects its manager in so many ways. They had spirit, they had determination, and they had a real physical presence today, Cork, hadn't they?
I think the lads have always had that themselves, you know. That doesn't come from anyone. You can't ingrain that into people. They've great qualities, and, you know, they've had a great victory today, but the reality is they're still only in an All-Ireland final, and, you know, if you want recognition at this level, you must achieve the ultimate, and, you know, that has yet to come, and, you know, that's our next task.
Well, I know you're the essence of calmness, but I just noticed at half-time you're going into the field. I think you were trying to have a word with the referee or the linesman. Were you annoyed, agitated with the referee today?
No, well, I mean, you're always annoyed when decisions don't go your way, and sometimes the interpretation of certain rules be somewhat different one day than another, and that's the problem I have always with refereeing, is consistency. And I just felt that certain things were being refereed in a way today that on other days they'll be refereed differently, but that's only my opinion, and obviously my opinion will be coloured for our favour, so I'm just honest enough to say that. I'm not saying that beat us, because we worked very hard today, but Cork were better.
Well, it's going to be a long way now. I think probably it's I think it's about 2 years to get there, like, so we're going to come back and just think about it, and probably McKenna Cup's a long way away yet, so I'll have the head down for a while. I'll go with the club, so see where it goes from there.
Well, there's no giving up, Ryan McMenamin. We want to see you back in Croke Park.
Okay, thanks very much.
Well done.
Yeah, tough on the Tyrone lads, but Tony Davis, Cork football has had its share of heartache in this decade, so today must have made up for all of the Cork people.
Well, not yet. I suppose they haven't won the All-Ireland yet, but certainly the performance today was good because they have never come up against a team like Tyrone, particularly in Croke Park. The hoodoo of Croke Park, can Cork play there? They proved today they can. They proved today they can beat the All-Ireland champions. So they've gone an awful long way in establishing themselves. But as Conor said there, you must win an All-Ireland to really establish yourself as a good team. But they have all the credentials for it. They took on Tyrone today at their own game. They won primary possession, moved the ball fast, and Conor and his management team got their matchups perfectly. They won the battle in the full back line, in the half back line, around midfield, and they have good scoring forward. So they're certainly on the way to going all the way to win the All-Ireland, but there's another big step to go yet. But in fairness today, they did everything right, so look, we'll look forward with optimism now.
Colm, they clearly won the fitness battle today. Did they win the tactical battle as well?
I think they did, and I don't know whether they won the fitness battle, but they won the speed battle. And I think that, you know, as Tyrone have developed over the last 5 or 6 years, the body type of any individual changes in their late 20s. Tyrone have got stronger, but they certainly have lost pace, and they came up against a team who had real pace all over the pitch. As well as that, I was surprised with Mickey Hart's matchup. I thought PJ Quinn struggled throughout the game, and Conor Gormley also struggled, but he's been one of their main men. But I was surprised with putting McMenamin and Pierce O'Neill. But the whole tide was running in Cork's favour in that first half, and I don't think that anything that Mickey Hart would have done would have changed it.
Even with the extra man?
Yeah, even with the extra man. The nature of the game changed completely when Alan O'Connor was sent off, from a free-flowing game to a stop-start game, which suited Cork because obviously they weren't going to allow a rhythm develop which Tyrone could get into. So, you know, from a tactical point of view, I think Cork played it very well the second half by fouling in the right parts of the field.
Right. Anthony, that opening half and that free-flowing Cork football, talk to us about that.
Well, if you look at what Mickey Hart said before the game in his pre-match interview, he talked about the team that had the greater work rate and greater desire would win, and I thought it was Cork showed those traits, particularly in the first 20 minutes of the game. They were the team that were looking as if they really, really wanted to win this year's All-Ireland, and they have great pace and energy and athleticism. Talk about the physicality and the size of their players, but they're good footballers. They play the ball nice and direct early on, and the goal was a wee bit fortunate to get the second chance, but I thought in the opening period the trouble Tyrone support play was fantastic. Pierce O'Neill, how many times we've seen Pierce doing this, attacking the goal at pace, and uncharacteristic of Conor Gormley to lose possession, but their forward line showed a fair degree of work rate as well to put the Tyrone backs under pressure. And Colm O'Neill, a gamble in many ways by Conor Coonan to play him full forward in a big game like this, but he responded well today. But you know, after 20 minutes, Cork won 8 to 3 points in front, well on the road to victory, and in the second half the game totally changed, and they played very, very smart in the second half. But to me the damage was done in that first 20 minutes.
Well, Tony, Tyrone fans will be wondering where has it gone wrong, you know, after what looked like shaping up to be a good year. Where do you think it went wrong for them today?
Well, I suppose Cork has athleticism, as you said earlier on, but really Cork put them under huge pressure right throughout the field. They actually did a Tyrone on Tyrone. Everything Tyrone are famous for, putting people under pressure, blocking down and harrying. Here we see Joe McMahon coming up the field. This is the start of the second half, Cork a man down. Now Cork went into defence, they kind of set up a shield there, and they have a couple of their first line of defences there, so the forwards tackle their man, put them under huge pressure. So really you're cutting down the supply line going down along the field, so they can't really come and support or get the ball into the inside forward, which they weren't able to do all day. Here we see them putting under huge pressure. The ball they eventually get it free, put it up the field, and here again you see the second line, which is about 35 yards out from goal, and you see that famous Tyrone half back line, Jordan and Hart, and what happens, they're put under pressure to kick the ball wide. The other thing is, we heard before the game where Tyrone were going to let Cork win the ball if they couldn't win it themselves and take it off. But what do Cork do? They put them under pressure, they strip the ball away, and the best thing to do then is get the ball away from the drop zone as they did. Here again, we see them, their forward line coming forward the ball, put under huge pressure by the Cork backs. And again, Cork moved the ball away at pace from the drop zone. This is like watching, let's say, Cork have white jerseys. They could have been Tyrone a couple of years ago with the same energy and enthusiasm. That energy and enthusiasm does go after a couple of years of winning All-Irelands and stuff like this. Here O'Neill goes in, he's surrounded by 4 players in the corner, and again Cork moved the ball away quick. This could have been Tyrone a couple of years ago.
And Colm, for you, maintaining this, as Tony says, maintaining that high intense level, do you think that's the short term?
Yeah, I think a team can only do that for 3 or 4 years maybe, and you have to add something in that sort of goes along with that. Now in this particular sequence you can see where Cork have built a screen outside the scoring zone and they're allowing the sort of Tyrone half-backs. Now Hart and Jordan have been good for 3 or 4 points for Tyrone in almost all the games. So what Tyrone or Cork did today was to force them to the wings and let them shoot from there. It was very clever play the second half, because even with the Tyrone kick out, Cork often let them take the kick out and withdrew into their own half of the field and sort of defended from very deep positions and tried to hit Tyrone on the break. And you know, the way it worked, the second half I think was 4 points each. So what Cork did in the second half was try to ensure that the game degenerated into a very scrappy affair which suited them perfectly.
Okay, now we've had a lot of emails in about the referee's performance today, and particularly about the sending off of Alan O'Connor of Cork. And now there are some emails who say John Bannon had it correct with the 2 yellow cards. Tony, if we take a look at the sending off and the red card.
Take a look at the first one where he was booked. Okay. Yeah. I suppose looking at the game totally objectively, the first one, the ground was wet, and O'Connor does go in and make contact with him. Yes, you could say that certainly was a yellow card. Okay, it could be argued that it could have been a black book as well. Yeah. He could have slipped. The second one, though, I can't see how that was a yellow card. He wasn't even looking at him when he went in for it. There was a collision, but there was no malice whatsoever in that. Harsh, and it spoiled the whole game, does it? Spoiled the game, really. Like up to that was pure football by both teams, but after that, really, it was a matter of holding on to what you had.
Well, it fundamentally changed the game, didn't it, Anthony?
Well, I think it changed the course of the game, but in a way, I think that sending off sort of worked in Cork's favour, because there's a danger playing against any side. If you get in at half-time with a few points up, that complacency starts to set in, you think you've got the job done. I think with a man down, Cork were forced to really, really push on in that second half and really dig deep, and their players stood up and they had a cause to be in that second half to be counted. And I think, OK, it changed the course of the game, but I don't think it dictated the outcome of the game. I think Cork were going to win today. Yeah, we usually see a team that goes down to 14 men.
I thought Cork were going to beat them easy, and I think that it threw Tyrone a lifeline. I'm sure John Bannon didn't want to be the centre of attention, but it was a poor decision. I thought the first one, in the context of a game where there was no malice or no rancour whatsoever, and it was a proper game of football for the first 25 minutes with everybody going at it, hammer and tongs, in a very sporting manner. So like, this sort of came as a bolt out of the blue, and I felt that it did ruin the game as a spectacle.
The manner in which Mulligan went to the ground, I mean, the referee is looking at that. Did that influence him? Yeah, well, Mulligan is a bit theatric in the way that he goes down, and we can see it in another incident later. I'm sure Mulligan didn't want to get him sent off. He probably wanted to get a free in. So, I think referees are in trouble trying to interpret too whether a player is diving, whether a player is, legitimately tackled. But I think in Alan O'Connor's case, contact was minimal, so like, if the referee wanted to penalise him, he could have given him a black book or a word in his ear, say you're sailing close to the wind. But when you saw what happened in the second half, and like Graham Canty certainly, obviously decided he's not going to send off another one of us, and I can do what I like. That was, we'll chat about that in a minute. That's where his knees went into the back of one of the Tyrone lads. But yes, there were other decisions then, as Colm says, that being one of them. I think there was loads of decisions that happened throughout the game that left both sets of spectators, frustrated with the referee. You see, John Muskler, why he does that, it's just the referee's his back turned. It was actually the umpire that picked that up. It's a yellow card, but it's a strike. But Tony, it looked like there was a bit of movement in the arm of Brian McGuigan as well.
Yeah, it looks like McGuigan went back. There was some messing going on, and John went out and struck him on the back of the head, and down McGuigan went as if he was shot by something. There's a free given against Joe McMahon for picking the ball. Honest pick-up, correct pick-up. Martin Penrose gets a free for that for some reason unknown to all around. Brian Dooher there going forward, and you see Nicholas Murphy coming in over the shoulder. There's contact there. It's enough to put Brian Dooher over. No freeze given for that one. Yeah, that's a certain foul. You can't, come in on a player from behind. And in this one, it's very obvious Dooher is boring in, and it was at the time of Alan O'Connor. Defender does reasonably well trying to keep him out, and referee gives a free in. So there was a lot of decisions like that throughout the game, which, Yeah, there was a lot of decisions, and when we were watching the game, like there he goes down again nice and easily, actually. In fact, I don't think it was a free. I can see why the referee did give a free, because his hand was up high on his shoulder, but certainly he made the most of it. But when we were watching the game, we made a note of, oh, that wasn't a free, or that mightn't be a free, or something like that. But we went back through them afterwards, okay? And we went through quite a lot of them. We went through about 20 incidents in the game, and the referee was right, or I can see where he interpreted a free in quite a lot of them. Now, a lot of them were wrong.
Yeah.
But we can see where the frees were rewarded. But certainly watching the game, it was frustrating. It was really frustrating watching the game.
My feeling
it's very, very difficult to referee Gaelic football on that side of a pitch when it's played at the pace that that game was played at today. And I think there's a big case to be made for linesmen having a bit more authority than they have at the minute. On the Alan O'Connor's first yellow, it was clear to all that he slipped. You had a linesman standing 20 yards away, unable to tell the referee, well, he's actually slipped.
Yeah,
you should give more authority to linesmen.
My feeling throughout the second half of the game in particular, that Tyrone found it increasingly difficult to get frees in the scoring area. A lot of the tackling that went on by Cork backs, could be interpreted one way or the other. I felt that, the fact that Cork were down a man, it meant that they got away with a bit more than you would normally get away with.
Colin, as you know,
but Cork were by far the better team anyway.
Yeah, as you know, playing when a man gets sent off, you do feel a sense of injustice, and you do raise your game, you up the intensity, and sometimes you do play on the edge. But a lot of these Cork players have been in All-Ireland semi-finals and been beaten for the last 5-6 years. It's time now for them to be winners and to move on, as you know. There's time to play football and there's time to win games. And I thought today they brought it to a new level.
In terms of going back to the referee's performance, the referees, it was a frustrating day. He didn't have a good day on the pitch, but he didn't dictate the outcome of the game. Cork won by 5 points. They were good value for the victory and deserved to win.
There's a clip here that really interested me, and it's a reflection back to 5 or 6 years ago when Tyrone really established themselves on the national stage with that performance against Kerry. And we're talking about the interpretation of how Tyrone played then and now. Look at this.
Well, this is the infamous clip that sort of defined modern day football in so many ways, where we talk about intensity and desire and all of that, and Tyrone typified that in 2003 against Kerry.
It's amazing.
It's interesting, John Bannon was standing on the line that day and saw all of this unfold. Jerry Canevy was refereeing, and all of this was allowed to go on. No free was given for any of this, yet you could probably identify a number of free kicks, and it brought about a sense that whenever Tyrone or Armagh or other sides swarmed players around the man in possession, that the benefit of the doubt was given to those that were doing the swarming around, and the guy in possession was almost penalised. But today we saw an incident where ball's played out in midfield, Nicholas Murphy catches it straight away, 3 Tyrone men around him, and referee doesn't allow the situation to develop, gives a free kick straight away to Cork. So Mickey Hart referred to different interpretation in his post-match interview, and that's possibly the kind of thing that he's on about. Tyrone depend on that type of intensity.
Yes, but I think going back the years that it was a free initially to Kerry, I think it was a free to Nicholas Murphy. And if you live by the sword, you perish by it too.
But when does a referee decide to referee the game differently than what did a couple of years ago?
It's like the ones we were debating about.
Why don't they come and talk to managers, come and talk to players, tell them how they're going to referee the game, allow players a chance, not find it out in an All-Ireland semi-final.
But isn't it great to see the guy winning the ball, getting the advantage when he comes down? That should be encouraged at all.
The player in possession should get advantage.
Colin, this afternoon I got the impression from the panel that you think this is the end of Tyrone.
Well, it's not the end of Tyrone, because obviously at colleges level and at minor level they continue to churn out high quality individual players and high quality teams. But you would have to say that it's probably the end of the likes of Brian Dooher and Brian McGuigan. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to retire, but Brian Dooher has played this year with severe injuries. He's unlikely to go through the pain barrier again. Maybe Conor Gormley. A lot of these players, and the value that they have given to Tyrone supporters and to the football in general over the last few years has just been immense. But, every dog has his day, and the sands of time caught up with Tyrone today in a way that they lacked the pace and they lacked the intensity which they normally put everybody else to the sword. And today, Cork turned it on its head.
One thing you haven't mentioned, lads, Sean Kavanagh didn't start.
Huge influence on the game, actually. Psychologically for both teams. For Tyrone, he's their leader, he's been their best player. He's probably the icon of most kids in the country watching Gaelic football. But for Cork as well, knowing that he wasn't there, it must have been a huge boost for those guys.
He was worth 4 or 5 points in almost every
Even
game.
in the last minute of the game, he hit the post when he got in. That guy's a super player.
McGinley, who's been one of Tyrone's key players over the last 3 or 4 years, been injured, came into the game lacking a wee bit of fitness. But I think you have to accept that those Tyrone players have created a dynasty, certainly in terms of football in our part of the world. marvellous players, great men, and I think they're entitled to decide
They've
whenever
been
they
great
retire. Not us sitting here.
There's this myth out there that the Southern media or the Southern people don't like Tyrone as a team.
Spillane you're talking about.
But that's not true. They have been great champions and they've given us some fantastic days. We all celebrated when they won their first All-Ireland. It was fantastic.
It's just because of Big Kerry.
No, it's not. They were fantastic champions, you know, to go away and win in Croke Park. Like when Armagh won their first game, you know.
I think, Tony, we've also been taken by their modesty.
Yeah.
Taken by the fact that Mickey Harte has been so helpful. You know, any club does his best. Yeah. And I said it often, they're a team without ego. You know, they just go out and play, and they don't want to be sort of treated as kings or whatever. But you know, they have been fantastic ambassadors for the
champions.
Here.
Yeah.
Okay, so well done to the Tyrone lads. No consolation tonight, but Tony, who were the nominees then for man of the match?
Well, I suppose the nominations today, they were all Cork. Today you had Pearse O'Neill, who was fantastic today for them. He was all over the field. In fact, he was one of the best players around. He was some energy and strength going down the middle. Colm O'Neill was fantastic at full forward as well. And centre field we have Graham Canty at centre back. Great player, great leader, fantastic player right through, and a leader right through the year for them.
And Anthony, who did you decide to give it to?
In the end, we went for Graham Canty, but I have to say it wasn't a clear-cut decision. There were strong cases could have been made today for a number of players, but ultimately, you know, when leadership was required, he was the one that typified that effort from Cork. He is the one that's led them through the turmoil of the last couple of winters of unrest with management and all of that. There are more talented footballers in the country, but I don't believe there's any footballer in the country who possesses the will to win that he has. And he certainly pushed himself to the limits today. He pushed the boundaries of the rules of the game to the limits.
He did
what he had to do today to win. In a team performance by Cork, as we said, it was a team performance, but he was, for us anyway,
his physical bravery too is incredible. He doesn't mind sticking his head in everywhere. He'll go to block kicks, he'll dive in. You know, he was fantastic.
And one important point here is, up to a few years ago, the county champions in Cork always nominated the captain, but they changed that recently, and Graham has been nominated as captain. And look, he's been a true leader since he's 16, 17 years old. He's a great leader. And
his courage even went as far as meeting Marty Morrissey after the match. So let's hear from him now.
Well, Anne O'Leary, a very proud Cork woman, by the way, Enterprise Director for Vodafone, is going to present the GA Football Man of the Match Award to Graham Canty, the Cork captain. Graham, may I say, in particular, the defence were outstanding today. You really gelled it together rather well, didn't you?
Yeah, I suppose, you know, every line kind of played well, but, you know, when you're playing a team like Tyrone, you have to be on your game, and, you know, I suppose we defended kind of 1 to 15, and, you know, that's what you have to do against a very good team like Tyrone.
And did you think perhaps the whole game plan would be upset by the fact of Alan O'Connor being sent off?
Yeah, I suppose Alan was unlucky to get a second yellow, but, you know, that's what happens. You know, we said at half time that we put in an extra special effort for him, because, you know, Alan is probably one of our hardest workers in the field. Like, you know, he runs around like a terrier. Like, he never stops running. He's left, right, he's kind of everywhere. Like, he's, you know, always has the highest tackle count, you know, when you get the stats at the end of the game. So we said we'd you know, a special effort for Alan at half time.
All-Ireland football final again for Cork, but you look a lot stronger, more balanced this time around, don't you?
Yeah, I suppose, you know, that's it. It's, you know, it's only a semi-final win, and it's a pat into the final, and you know, we've won nothing yet. So you know, whoever we play in the final, me or Kerry, it'll be a tough day out, you know, and we'll have to be on top of our game and have to improve another notch to try and capture it.